We covered section 1.2 yesterday. You got this assignment as homework. The answers are on the back. You're supposed to practice. You're supposed to check your answers, right? You might be showing up every single day here to watch me do math, and you might understand the math that I'm doing, but if you don't take it upon yourself to do practice on your own, you're not going to get mentally stronger, right? You're not going to get better at math just by watching somebody do math 1 hour a day. You might understand the math, that's great, but you're not going to grow in math, right? It's like working out. You go to the gym, you watch somebody work out every single day. It's not going to make you stronger. You might understand how to do workouts correctly, but it's not till you actually pick up that weight yourself that you're actually going to see results when you start doing it yourself. So you were supposed to do this worksheet already. I know a lot of us have not. Some of us have. That's great. Let's just do a couple. Like number 7, for example. And we do have to go through the order of operations. PEMDAS, that's the correct order of operations. It's on the corner of our room right there. And it reminds us that we first look for parentheses. And there are parentheses right here. Parentheses pretty much tell you to zoom in and do whatever math possible. So you're going to do that 3 plus 5. I like to either circle or underline whatever operation I'm doing. I get an answer like 8, 3 plus 5 is 8, and then I rewrite everything. Bring down the parentheses, the 4, the minus, the 5, the times, the 4. And then I continue on to E. I already did parentheses. I move on to E exponents. There are no exponents. And then I move on to M or D, right? It's not multiplication always before division. Sometimes it is. Sometimes division is before multiplication. They are both worth the same. That's why they're both blue. So do we have any multiplication or division? Yes, we have multiplication right here on the 4 times 8. So let's do that next. 4 times 8 is 32. Once you do that operation, rewrite everything. The minus, the 5, the times, the 4. There's only 2 operations left, subtracting and multiplying. Which one do I do first? Multiplying, right? As a matter of fact, I could have done the multiplication here and here at the same time to save some space, right? So I could go back over here, and since multiplying is both right here and here, I might as well do that. 5 times 4 is 20, and again, that minus sign comes down. So 32 take away 20, final answer is 12. So if you did that correctly, you should get that answer 12. If you were doing this at home, you could have checked the back of that worksheet and see if your actual answer is 12. Is there any other one you'd like to see explain on this first part? Number 8, sure, why not? Number 8, we have division, multiplication, subtraction, and exponents. Again, looking at our sign, what do we begin with? Parentheses. Do we have any? No. Move on to E. What's E? Exponents. Do we have any? Yes. Now keep in mind, guys, the exponent is on the 3. That's not a negative 3. If it were a negative 3, it would look something like this, right? With the negative inside the parenthesis. So it doesn't have parentheses including the minus sign. So that's really just 3 squared. And in your mind, what's 3 times 3? 9. Okay, so we really have a 9 right here. Let's rewrite everything. The minus, the 9, the times, the 11, the division, the 22. So I've already done E exponents. I then move on to either multiplication or division. Do I have multiplication or division? Yes. I have both, right? Which one do I have to do first? Whichever one comes first from left to right. Once again, this is a good question. I'm glad you guys asked. M and D are both blue, because you don't have to do multiply before divide. Sometimes the division comes first before multiplication. If you notice on my poster, there's that arrow right here. So whenever you're faced with multiplication or division, I want you to look at whatever comes first from left to right. So what comes first, the division or the multiplication from left to right? The division. So that's what we need to do first. We're going to divide. What's 22 divided by 11? 2. And then we're going to multiply by 9. And then at the very end, bring down that minus 9. So then we're going to multiply by 9. What's 2 times 9? 18. And then at the very end, we do the subtraction, right? Minus 9. So 18 minus 9. Final answer, 9. So number 8, the correct answer is 9. Whoa, that was weird. So there are a couple more questions that are worth going over, especially those with fractions. I don't know, somebody said 11. That's a good one too because there's brackets. Let's do 11, and let's also do one with a fraction in it, okay? So what is a bracket? A bracket is a parenthesis, Ivan. Okay, so a bracket is the same thing as a parenthesis. You just zoom in and do whatever you can on the inside. So when you're looking at 11, if you zoom in to the bracket, you have 5 squared plus and then a parenthesis. So in here we have exponents, addition, and parentheses, and in the parentheses we have division. So in here, out of exponents, addition, or parentheses, what do you do first? Parentheses. So you zoom in even further, and you do that 36 divided by 6, and we will get 6, not 12. All right, so let's go back and rewrite everything else. So I'm going to take that answer and bring down the parenthesis, the plus, the bracket, the 5 squared, the bracket, and the 2. And we're still inside the brackets. So then we do exponents next. 5 squared is 25. You don't need parentheses, just 25 plus 6 inside the bracket. But we do need to include this 2 that's out here. Bring that down. 25 plus 6 is 31. 25 plus 6 is 31. Keep the brackets. Bring down the 2. That's really 2 times 31, which is 62. Okay, let's jump to one that has fractions. And the reason why I want to do one with fractions is because whenever you do have a fraction, yeah, a fraction bar is a division operation. However, you're not going to, what I'm trying to say is you're not going to try to divide before adding. The way to approach a fraction is to simplify the top, simplify the bottom, and then worry about the fraction bar, which is a division, okay? So on number 5, or no, not number 5, number 15, let's do the top, and then we'll simplify the bottom. So up on top, we do have adding and exponents. What do we do first? What is 3 squared? 9. So I really have 7 plus 9. What's 7 plus 9? 16. That is your numerator. On the bottom, we have exponents and multiplication. What do I do first? Exponents. What's 4 squared? And 16 times 2 is 32. Or, you know what? Check this out. You could also leave it as 16 times 2 instead of writing 32. Why is that? Because the 16 on top with the 16 on the bottom will cancel out, and your final answer will be 1/2 because the 2's on the bottom. There's nothing left up on top, 2 on the bottom. Now, if that confuses you, you could have written it as 16 over 32, and then you could have reduced all the way down to 1/2. However you reduce, like if you wanted to reduce by 2, you could say, oh, 16 divided by 2 is 8, 32 divided by 2 is 16, and then 8 divided by 2 is 4, 16 divided by 2 is 8, 4 over 8. You're going to eventually get down to the same 1/2, right? So it's totally up to you. Anyhow, there is another portion of lesson 1.2 that we haven't really covered yet. We talked about it. Evaluating a variable expression is when you plug in the values that they give you and then simplify. You substitute the values that they give you and then simplify. So right here it says evaluate each expression. What does that mean? It means plug in the values, then simplify. Okay? So plug in the values and then do any math operations possible. So when we look at number 17, the best way to plug in values is to replace your variables with parentheses. So I would take the b and write it as a parenthesis, and then of course you put the square on it. And then I would put the plus 2a, but instead of a, I want to put parentheses. And then minus c squared, but instead of c, I want to put parentheses with the square on the outside of the parentheses. So I'm even using different colors so you could see it better. So we said that the b value is 9. We're going to plug in that 9 right there. The a value is 12. We're going to plug in that 12 right there. And the c value is 4. We're going to put that 4 right there. And then once you've plugged it in, just go about your PEMDAS. right? So do we have parentheses? Yes, but there's nothing to do inside of the parentheses. So then we move on to E, exponents. We have a 9 squared there and also a 4 squared there. What's 9 squared? 81. What's 4 squared? 16. And let's bring down everything else. The plus, the 2, the parenthesis, the 12, the close parenthesis, and the minus. So I have done exponents. Now we move on to either addition or multiplication. What do we do first? Multiply, right? So let's multiply. And what is 2 times 12? 24. Let's bring down everything else. The 81, the plus, and the minus, and the 16. Now it's just addition and subtraction at the very end. And if you're adding or subtracting, at the very end, you just go from left to right. So 80 plus 20 is 100. 1 plus 4 is 5. So you'll have 105 when you combine these two. Bring down the minus 16, and we will get, what is that? 89. Final answer. So that's what we're doing on the evaluating part. Okay? So I hope that you guys took the time to practice this stuff. If you did not, then I would like you to work on this today. Check your answers in the back. Should we do one more? What do you think? No. 23. All right. 25? 23 and 25 if you want. Okay, so 23, let's rewrite it. 2c cubed minus a times b, all divided by 4. So the c value is 4, plug it in. The a value is 12, put it right there. And the b value is 9. Again, they give you those values, you just plug them in. And then you go through, simplify the top. The bottom's already simplified. At the very end, worry about the fraction bar, which is a division problem. Okay, so on the top, we have multiplication, exponents, and subtraction, and more multiplication. What should we do first? Multiplicate? No, even before multiplication. Yeah, exponents. If you look at parentheses, there's nothing to do in here. It's just a 4. But there is exponents, so we could do 4 to the third, and that's not 12. 4 to the third does not mean 4 times 3. It actually means 4 times 4 times 4. So 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64. So when I do that, I'll get a 64, but we should bring down the 2, the minus, the 12, and the 9, all up on top, and it's still over 4. So then you would multiply 2 times 64. 2 times 64 is 128. And you might as well multiply over here because multiplication is what comes next before addition, before subtraction. So you get 128 here, and over here you get 108. So you really have 128 minus 108, and it's still all divided by 4. So when you go 128 minus 108, you get 20, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. So that's your final answer right there. So I hope you guys could practice with the rest. The answers are on the back, so you could verify your answers. Now, once you're done with this worksheet, I want to give you an extra practice. The extra practice is going to be this. It says, why is it good to have holes in your t-shirt? And if you do this correctly, you should get the answer down here, a written phrase to that riddle. Okay? Now, let me just explain how this is going to work. So I do want to take a moment to explain how to do this worksheet. Let's all look at this first box. It says simplify. Now, if you don't pay attention, you're probably not going to understand how to do this. But it's this simple. We're using PEMDAS to simplify this. So what would I do first? Parentheses. What's negative 1 plus 9? That right there is 8, just like you said. And let's rewrite everything, the parenthesis and the negative 2 on the outside. And what's negative 2 times 8? Negative 16. This is my answer, but check this out. This is my answer that has the letter R. Okay, so where am I going to put the letter R? You need to look for that answer first. And here's the answer, negative 16. This number right here tells you what spot to go to. So we need to go to spot 19 and put the R right there. Spot 19 and put the R right there. Okay? Now, I feel confident that you guys could do PEMDAS right there, PEMDAS right there, PEMDAS right there, And even evaluating, you plug in your value and then you use PEMDAS, right? Let's do one of these. Pick one. E, O, G, H, T, or M? O?
E.
Well, let's just go with H. Sure, why not? So it says X plus 6Y plus 6. So instead of X, I want to put parentheses. Plus 6Y. Instead of Y, I want to put parentheses. And then plus 6. So X is negative 4. And yeah, Y is 3. Thank you. So let's do this math. We have negative 4. There's nothing to multiply by. It's like negative 4 plus 6 times 3. So what am I going to do first? Add, or multiply? Multiply. What's 6 times 3? 18. So there's an 18 right here. So you have a negative 4 plus 18 plus 6. Now I could actually do negative 4 plus 18. If I owe 4 and have 18, I want to have 14 left. And then plus 6, what do I have total? Once again, negative 4 plus 18, that's 14. And then 14 plus 6? 20. So where's 20 at? It's up here. So H goes on the 2. So go to 2 and put an H right there. Now, there is one box that says simplify that I don't think we haven't covered it yet. Actually, we're going to be doing distributed property and combining like terms on Monday. But right now, I do want to explain at the very least what they mean by simplify when you have letters and numbers. Okay, this is called combining like terms. So go to the box that says 4, where it says simplify. And this is combining like terms. So what does that mean? You're going to be combining the terms that are alike. Apples with apples, oranges with oranges, bananas with bananas, right? The variable n with the variable n, numbers with numbers. Like terms only, okay? If you have 3 apples and 2 bananas, you can't say that you have 5 bananas, right? Like you can't, they're not the same thing. You can't add apples and bananas. So same thing here. We have 3 terms, and we could combine the negative 2n with the 9n. So think about that. Negative means you owe. Positive means you have. You owe $2. You have $9. How do you end up? You have 7 of those n's. So if you don't like dollars, okay, you owe 2 noodles. You have 9 noodles. Once you pay off the 2 noodles that you owe, you're still going to have 7 noodles left over. And what about that minus 8? It's just the minus 8. So your answer here is 7n minus 8. So where's 7n minus 8? It's right here. So we're going to put the letter O on 41. So go to 41 and put the letter O right there. Does that make sense? So again, on this section, this is the only one that you might be struggling with. We're combining like terms, numbers with numbers, the n's with the n's, okay? The reason why we stopped right here, 7n take away 8, you can't take away 8 from 7 n's. It's like saying, look, I got 7 apples, take away 8 bananas. No, there's no bananas to take away, right? So you can't really combine terms that are not alike. Pick another letter right here. Y. Okay, so out of these 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're not multiplying anywhere. The only way we'd be multiplying is if there were no symbols between the parenthesis and the other term, but there is a plus sign, so we're thinking of money on all those 4 terms. So we need to combine the terms that are alike. So if I zoom in on Y, I could combine the n's with the n's. Now notice I'm circling them, and when I do circle, I include the sign that's in front because that's telling me whether I have or whether I owe. So right here, this is a positive 3n, I have $3, minus 5n, what does that mean? I owe $5. So what's my answer with those n's? Negative 2n, right? Negative 2 of those n's. And now you do the numbers with the numbers. So what do I have? I have a, what does that mean? If there's one negative, that means you owe. If there's a minus sign, that means you owe. Right there's a negative sign, that means that you owe 7. You have 1. If you owe 7 and have 1, you could pay off the dollar, but you're still going to owe 6. And there's your answer for letter Y, negative 2n minus 6, which is up here, negative 2n minus 6. On space 28, I want to put the letter Y. So space 28, going to put the letter Y. So again, the combining like terms, we're going to be doing a lot of that next week, but this is just a little taste of it right here. Should we do one more? Yes, please, do I. Okay, let's do I. Here we go. We have negative 10 minus negative 7n. So what do you do with the minus negative? What do you do with minus negative? Plus plus, right? Turns into positive. Okay, so out of these three terms, negative 10, positive 7n, and plus negative 9n, out of those three terms, what could I combine? Numbers with numbers, letters with letters. So I have 7n that I could combine with negative 9n, right? I have $7. I owe $9. How do I end up with n's? Is it what's my answer? Negative 2 of those n's, right? Now, what else did we have? Well, we had a negative 10 out here in the front. Could you take away 10 from the negative 2 n's? No. It's like saying, look, I got $2, take away 5 apples or 10 apples from me. No, they're dollars, not apples. You can't do it, so you just rewrite it. So that answer is going to be for I, and that would be negative 2n minus 10. That's on space 11. We're going to put the letter H. Space 11, letter H. Okay, so this is not going to be on tomorrow's quiz. All of this other stuff where you have to use PEMDAS, definitely tomorrow's quiz. Definitely tomorrow's quiz. This is more for next week, but definitely tomorrow's quiz. You're going to plug in your values, and then you're going to use PEMDAS to simplify. All right? What else is going to be on tomorrow's quiz? Verbal phrases that you have to write as algebraic expressions. You guys remember that? So for example, the quotient of 2 and x, how do you write that? 2 divided by x. If you write that down, you got your answer. So half of the quiz is on words that you have to write as algebraic expressions, and then the other half is on doing PEMDAS. Okay? So we have plenty of practice, and we have plenty of time right now in class to do that practice, right? So no excuses. Oh, I can't do it at home because I don't have time. Hey, I'm giving you time right now in class to do this, and we're here to help, right? Oh yeah, by the way, check in to Edmodo tonight. I'm not saying that it's gonna happen, but I might ask for an Edmodo check-in, and if I do, it's usually about 5 o'clock, and all you gotta do is post a response to me asking you for your last name, comma, first name. A lot of grades are being hurt by you not doing that. I'm trying to encourage everybody to get on Edmodo to watch the videos that we do in class so you get a better understanding of everything. So again, half of the quiz is on verbal phrases that you write as algebraic expressions. The other half is on simplifying using PEMDAS.